Depending on the kind of lights you have at your home, you have to choose really carefully because they can affect your figure. Hi and welcome back to the channel. Steven right here today with a topic on lights, the effect of lights on anime figures, right? This is a topic that is recurring. A lot of people keep asking it over time as more people get into the hobby of collecting anime figures. And then they hear all kind of things from us veteran collectors. And of course, by now everyone knows that sunlight is very bad for anime figures, right? It is highly detrimental because number one, sunlight has ultraviolet radiation, UV, and number two, infrared, IR, right? So what infrared and UV does to figures, number one is that any part that is light color, white color, or skin color, anywhere that is very light in color, right, or color injected, they are not painted on the surface, that part will turn yellow over time. Yeah, this is very well known. Like some figures, the skin color looks like this, like normal human skin color, and then 5 years later, you started to notice the figure becomes more yellowish, especially on the skin region and anywhere that is painted in white color. Well, this figure here is not really an example, I think. I'm just putting a figure on my desk for the sake of it. And not only does sunlight make your figure turn yellow, anywhere that is painted, the color will fade. Like a very vibrant color of red or blue on the dress or anywhere else, a very vibrant color, over time they become less vibrant, the color starts to fade. So how is all these various different kinds of light related to anime figures, right? Depending on the kind of lights you have at your home, in your living room, in your bedroom where you display anime figures, in your display case even if you light up your display case, the types of lights you should be using, you have to choose really carefully because they can affect your figure. Not as much as sunlight of course, but slowly over time, over an accumulated amount of exposure to UV, it can still cause issues for anime figure, especially with fading paint, right? So this is very easy. To keep things really simple, if you have fluorescent lights in your home, yes, the long light tubes, right? I'm putting a picture here on screen. This kind of long fluorescent light tubes, many households have this light because it is very cheap. So if you have fluorescent light tubes at home and you have anime figures, get rid of it immediately because fluorescent light emit UV radiation. Well, not at the level of sunlight, but they do emit ultraviolet radiation and they can damage your figure in the long term. Let's assume you got rid of all of the fluorescent light tubes at home after watching this video. What next? Because redoing all the wiring to connect to new lamps, let's say LED light bulbs, and their own base, it is extremely expensive, right? As you guys know, there is this fluorescent tube and then there is a base that connects the fluorescent tube with all the wiring and other stuff going on inside there. It is not economical to replace all of them, right? But there is a very simple solution where some people are not aware of this kind of lighting, where there are LED based lights out there that looks like fluorescent light tubes, right? This is not a perfect example. Yeah, something like this, which almost resembles any ordinary fluorescent light, but inside it is actually an LED strip. Yeah, it is LED inside. So there are LED lights out there where they have connections that are meant for fluorescent light tube bases. And all you need to do is to replace all those fluorescent light tubes with these LEDs, which are plastic on the outside. Fluorescent is glass, right? This is plastic, right? And I used to buy a lot of these during my earlier days when I was just starting out in figure photography as a hobby. I bought a lot of these because they were so affordable and they just do a great job in general if you know what you're doing with your camera settings, right? Does halogen bulb like this emit UV or ultraviolet radiation? The answer is yes, but at a very small fraction compared to even a fluorescent light tube. Right? Not to mention sunlight. Even when you compare it to fluorescent light tubes, they do emit UV but at a very small fraction. So in general, they are almost harmless to anime figures. But if you are still concerned somewhat, the solution is really simple. E27 mount. You can find LED light bulbs with the same exact amount and then you replace all of those at your home with the LED type. Okay, and this is not just about lighting in your own home. I want to talk about photography a bit as well. So these are very good low cost options for figure photography in case you are not buying LEDs for any reason. Okay, and we'll get to LED in a second, right? That is the next topic. Okay, so this is consumer grade light bulb like I mentioned earlier. One of the main weaknesses is that the color temperature is inaccurate. For example, you turn on the light and then you shine it on this figure, you want to take photos of this figure. Sometimes the color of the figure, especially the skin color, will look a bit funny because of the light. The color temperature is a bit off. It is not accurate. It is not perfect white color. So what can you do? Yeah, you tweak your camera settings, or later doing editing, you try to compensate by adjusting the white balance and so on, right? Can't be helped because this is consumer grade. And speaking of the E27 mount, which is universal, okay, so this is the E27 mount, and this mini table lamp over here with a clip, I think I spent like $5 on this back then, like 7 or 8 years ago. This is something really old from my college days. So just screw it on, right? I just screw it on, and this one can be used for figure photography, but make sure you use a diffuser in front. Okay, so one more problem with this is that they produce heat, a lot of heat. And you do not want to expose your figure to a lot of heat over long periods of time. Can you still use this for figure photography? Yes, but keep your photography session short or do it in an air-conditioned room where, yeah, a cold room will just negate any temperature or any heat produced by these lights and you'll be fine, right? So the heat for this is mostly a non-issue unless you are photographing a figure non-stop for 6 or 8 hours, which is not something anyone does, right? This is a light stand and here you see I have 4 mounts. 4 E27 mounts. So imagine if you put 4 lights and then you could totally use this thing to do videos for YouTube. Like you have 4 light bulbs over here, you get a high wattage bulb and you put a soft box in front, you can have a very bright light for doing YouTube videos or for doing figure photography. Yeah, this kind of mounting, like 4 bulbs, 4 mounting in one single bulb and multiple switches behind, can find this on AliExpress really easily. It is not expensive. Like this thing over here, not including the stand, is like 25-30 US dollars. Yeah, this is something very cheap. So if you are looking to get lighting equipment for YouTube channel, or even to do figure photography, you can consider something like this. Okay, so this is professional grade light bulb. Very similar, right? Very similar. Also E27 mount, but this is more expensive. This is like 10 or 15 US dollars each, right? Compared to less than $2 each. Let me show you guys the inside. This is one of my spare bulbs. I have 3 spares lying around actually. This one is still brand new, even though I bought this like more than a year ago, right? So what is the difference between a professional grade and a consumer grade light bulb? Other than being bigger and brighter, obviously, the color temperature, right? So one of the main advantages of professional grade light bulb, this is not something you put on your ceiling for your room lighting, right? This is for photography and videography, but I'm letting you guys know anyway because this is extra knowledge for you guys watching this. So the beauty of professional grade light bulb is that the color temperature is very stable and constant throughout its entire lifespan, right? From start to end until the day it dies off, the color temperature is relatively stable. So if you use this very same light to light this figure for photography, the figure will turn out looking more natural. It won't have these weird colors on the skin and so on because the color temperature is very accurate, around 5600 kelvins, 5600, which is near the pure white color of white color, right? So this is not only for photography, of course, for videography, if you're using that 4 mount light that I showed you guys earlier, yeah, the 4 mounting light, 4 of these, try to imagine how bright it gets. And not to mention, you get very accurate colors, very accurate lighting. So when you edit your videos later, yeah, you don't see these funny colors which you need to adjust. So this is one of the beauty of professional grade lighting. These are not something I use very often because I'm using a different kind of LED light for my videos, for figure reviews, which I will share with you guys a bit later on. The next type of lighting I want to bring up, quickly before we move on to LEDs. Camera flash, right? This is something most of you won't have one at home. Yeah. Camera flash, right? Okay, so unless you have your own camera and you do portrait photography and so on, you won't have a flash like this at home. So our camera flashes safe for anime figures. You know, there is this one nonsense going on with the local anime convention scene in Malaysia in general. In anime conventions in Malaysia, you might come across these signs if you see any figure exhibit, be it anime scale figure or Figma or Nandroids or even dolls. You will often come across this sign over there. Do not use camera flash to photograph these figures or dolls because camera flash will damage the figures that are being displayed. Now, is that true or not? The answer is hell no, that is BS, right? Okay, for one, camera flashes, which is xenon flash, xenon gas inside, they do not have UV radiation, no ultraviolet radiation at all, zero, nada, just like LEDs. So these flashes, they do not damage the dolls or the figures that you are trying to photograph, right? A lot of doll-free photographers out there, from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from Japan, the famous ones, they use camera flashes too. They bring their doll outdoors under the sun to photograph them, and they are not even worried about the doll becoming damaged. And you are telling me a camera flash like this would damage a doll or figure? Now that is absolute nonsense, right? Yeah. Back then, I used camera flashes to photograph anime figures on display in Animangaki like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I do that a lot. I ignored all those no flash signs actually because I was one of the staff there, volunteer and contributing staff. So I just did whatever I wanted. And then when there was a person who disputed me, who argued with me saying that flash damages anime figures, I told them no. Flashes have no UV radiation. And the reply I got is that no, it is not about the radiation, it is about the heat, which is once again nonsense because I use these heat generating halogen bulbs for figure photography, for videos sometimes, and my figures turn out to be fine. Now, why is heat from something like this even a concern to anime figures? Unless you are putting it at close proximity for very long hours, right? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. However, there are some rare scenarios. There are some dolls out there. I don't think this applies to BJD dolls and Dolphys and so on. There are some dolls out there made with a very unique kind of resin material, and that resin material is light sensitive. And this is not common nowadays, right? Most of the dolls nowadays, people will bring it outdoors for photography even. So, no. Camera flashes do not damage your figures or your dolls. Don't worry about that. And lastly, LEDs, right? Okay, so with LEDs, right, down from the cheapest nonsense you can find from dollar stores, like this thing is, I don't know, $1, right? LEDs like this, and also the light bulbs and the bigger ones. This is also LED, right? So does LED damage anime figures? Yeah, of course not. Number one, LED lights, they do not have any radiation, no UV radiation, just like camera flashes. And number two, does LED lights produce heat? Now, the biggest misconception I keep seeing people say is that LED lights do not produce heat. Yeah, surely. If you're talking about puny LED lights like this, battery-powered puny LED lights, then surely this does not produce any heat at all. But this kind of light is low quality and very color inaccurate. The light on this LED is actually very bluish. You can see a bluish tinge on the anime figure actually. And this kind of cheapo $1, $2 LED lights, they are not ideal for figure photography. Do not use this to photograph anime figures because the colors will turn out terrible, and then you will have a lot of work in editing later to fix all those color shift in your photos, right? So these are not ideal, cheap, usable, but not ideal. If we are talking about something like this, yeah, this one produces a lot of heat, and I mean a lot, which is why there are vents over there for the heat to dissipate, right? And it is not just something like this. LED light bulb, they also produce a lot of heat, right? Another type of LED light which is extremely common, yes, the LED light strip, which you use it to line along the sides of your figure display case. Here is an example from Reddit. Yeah, the same kind of LED light strip over here. Yeah, these kind of lights, they don't emit any heat either. They are not hot. So they are perfectly safe for figures even in an enclosed space. Yeah, I do have some in my drawer actually. I have all kinds of lights because this is a studio, but I'm just too lazy to get it. So these lights are fine, just that uh, personally I'm not a big fan of these LED strips because it is not a homogeneous continuous strip of light. You can see individual light bulbs being lighted up like dot 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 dot, and I'm not a fan of that actually. I don't like the look of that, but some of you don't mind, and in that case, yeah, you can use it to line up your display cabinet with lighting. Just that I don't understand why would you even want to turn on your lights like 24/7. It is unnecessary. Even though LEDs do not emit much heat and no radiation, don't expose your figures to too much light. I think you should only turn it on when you want to showcase your collection to people, or you have guests and visitors and you want to impress them, then you turn it on. But other than that, there really is no need to turn them on all the time. And then for the higher end LED, there are also LED panels for video lighting, for photography and for videography, which I do not have any in my studio. I don't use that kind of lighting. We call it that the panel LED lights. They are not cheap. They can go for as low as $60, $80, but they can go over $200 or $300 for the higher end ones. And what is the difference between a $300 LED compared to one that costs several dollars? The expensive LEDs are very accurate and constant and stable in color temperature, 5600 kelvins. So they are meant for photography and videography, right? Personally, I don't use LED panels because I have something a bit better, which is the COB light. So this is what they call LED COB light, COB. Depending on how high end you go, one can go for as low as $100. Sometimes less than 100, and it can go up to $500-600. It really depends, right? This one 80DX, I'm not sure how many wattage is this. I can't remember anymore. I bought this about a year ago. I bought 2 of them for my figure reviews. So my figure reviews, right? I use these lights because I want to make sure my figures look very accurate in color reproduction in my videos, because I want my figure reviews to be as accurate as possible. So I want to have the best lighting possible. And this one, you can't use it directly on an anime figure. Of course, you need a softbox or a filter in front, any kind of light filter. So this one, I paid around $130-140 for one, and I have 2 of them. I plan to get more actually. Okay, and so far, I only use this for figure reviews, right, and figure photography. The lights I'm using right now, these are halogen lights in softbox. I'm not using this for my figure news and other type of videos where I'm sitting on this desk. So the beauty of this light is that, okay, once you turn it on, right, 5600 kelvins, it is telling you the color temperature. If there are any discrepancies, you will know because it will be mentioned over here. And this is 1% brightness. So you see, can go all the way up, very bright, and then I can adjust the brightness. And what you have just seen is just 0 to 30%. Can go much brighter than that. So the beauty of this is the ability to adjust the brightness of the lighting. So in case you change camera lenses or you change figures and then you need something brighter or something darker, you don't have to adjust anything other than this knob behind. Very useful, very convenient, which is why I love COB lights for YouTube videos and for figure photography in general. The lighting topic for today's video. Yeah, I know that I made my points very clear about fluorescent lights, get rid of them ASAP, and that is why that part is the title in my video, because I think that is the most important thing. The one light you should be getting rid of, right? And everything else I've just explained to you guys, from halogen to LED to camera flashes. Those are just extra knowledge, extra information for you guys in case you're interested in photographing your anime figures with more proper lighting, or you want to start your own YouTube channel. Yeah, these are the kind of options you can think about. If you enjoyed today's video and you found this video helpful, yeah, give this video a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure and photography content every week. Now, before I go, what figure is this? This is a figure of Haruhi Suzumiya 1/7 scale, made by none other than Griffin Enterprises, one of the worst figure brands to ever exist. They have gone bankrupt. And why do I even have a figure of them? I actually have 3 or 4 figures by Griffin. This thing was like $50 US, extremely cheap, and that was brand new, so why not I pick one up, though this thing is very dusty. I need to clean it, right? Okay, and yeah, see you guys again really soon. Have a nice day and goodbye.